Hey guys, it's Raul again, and today I will be doing my 2-year Booktube anniversary Q&A and giveaway announcement. So yeah, a lot of you guys have asked me a lot of questions. I posted a video a couple days ago, or probably about a week ago or so, having you guys ask me questions for my 2-year Booktube anniversary and everything, and I got a lot of responses and stuff, so I will go ahead and answer those today. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started because I don't want this video to be too long. Now Caitlin over at Book Chats asked me if you could give advice to yourself 2 years ago as you're starting, what would you tell yourself? And I think basically what I would tell myself is not to focus on subscriber counts. As a lot of you have probably noticed, I don't have a very huge subscriber count or anything. So my advice would probably be to not focus too much on numbers and subscriber counts from 2 years ago and kind of focus on the friendships and the interactions that you're having with the people that you're currently having, and to build up those friendships, because it's better to have quality friends than to have a large quantity of followers or friends, I guess. So it would just be to kind of embrace those friendships and to develop those friendships and to not worry about, you know, having higher numbers, because it's better in the end to have more quality friendships and more quality interactions. And the next question comes from Rocio de la Fuente. She says, you talked about your dogs, super curious to show them. 2 people actually asked me about my dogs, and I will kind of pan over to them and show them. I tried sitting on the floor and having them like in this video, but it wasn't going to work out. Yeah, I don't know, it was weird, but I'm just going to pan over to them and show them. So these are the babies. That right there is Shadow. He is currently 6 years old. Yes, 6 years old. We adopted him back in, I think it was 2012. Yes, in October. It was like Adopt a Dog Month. We got him from the shelter. They're both rescue dogs. They're both Pit Bull Terrier mixes. So that is Shadow. He's the baby. He's like the calmest one. He's super sweet, and yeah, that's what they do all day, is just mope around. And then that right there is Blue. We got her last year, I believe, and she's only 1. She just turned 1 back in March, and she was also a rescue. Her story's a little sadder than Shadow's. I mean, Shadow went through some abuse and stuff, which is why he was in the shelter, and then Blue was actually abandoned. So we ended up rescuing her because she was abandoned, and a coworker of my wife's actually ended up telling us about her, so we had to take her in. There was no way that we were leaving her in the situation she was in. But yeah, that's her. These are my babies. These are the loves of my life. I mean, after my wife, obviously. But yes, these keep me very busy. They are super energetic, but they're amazing. Like, there are definitely misconceptions about pit bulls and stuff. Yeah, they are awesome, and I absolutely love them, and you see how sweet and amazing they are. So yeah, that's them. A lot of you have asked about them, so those are my babies. And her other question, she actually asked 2, was, do you ever read in Spanish, and if so, what books would you say are must-read by Spanish-speaking authors? Now, I don't read too much in Spanish. I read a lot in Spanish in school because I did live in Puerto Rico for my high school and middle school years, so I read a lot of school-related books throughout those years. And then after that, I think sometime last year, about a year and a half ago or so, I tried doing a Spanish buddy read with 2 other of my friends here on Booktube, but it didn't work out, at least for me. They finished the book and they loved it, but I ended up DNFing the book at about 150 pages, and it was a middle grade book by Isabel Allende, and yeah, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. But I don't read too much Spanish, but the one book that I absolutely adore, which is probably one of my favorite books of all time, is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I read 100 Years of Solitude, or Cien Años de Soledad, in my senior year in high school, and I absolutely adored it. That's what definitely woke up my feelings for reading and my real passion for reading and for discovering other books that weren't just R.L. Stine and Goosebumps. So yeah, 100 Years of Solitude, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, is hands down my favorite. Like I said, I read that one in Spanish, and it was just an absolutely amazing story. If you haven't read it, definitely read it. And if you can read in Spanish, I definitely recommend that one in Spanish. Now the next question comes from JD Estrada, and he says, what book did you not like when you were younger, but enjoy now? And what is the worst book-to-movie adaptation that you've seen? So a book that I didn't enjoy when I was a child, I don't tend to reread a lot of books, so it's kind of weird. I don't know, a book that I didn't like in my childhood that I like now, maybe Matilda by Roald Dahl, and I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I just it was one of those books that I kept getting to like chapter 1 or 2, because when I was younger I would start books and just never finish them. So it was one of those books that I would just like start, never finish, start and never finish. So then when I got older, I think it was sometime in like middle school or high school later on, I tried rereading it and then read through and loved it. So I mean, I wouldn't say I hated it at the beginning. I would just say I never like finished it and then kept trying over and over again. And I'm pretty sure I still have that original copy of Matilda somewhere in storage. Yes. So yeah, probably Matilda by Roald Dahl. And then the next question that he asked is, worst book to movie adaptation? I have so many bad book to movie adaptations that I can think of. My top 3 are probably going to be Angels and Demons by Dan Brown. I did not like that movie at all and really enjoyed the book. The next one is probably going to be Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. Again, a book that I really loved and did not like the adaptation. And then the last one is probably going to be Beautiful Creatures by Kami Garcia and Margaret Stahl. That's probably my least favorite book to movie adaptation because they changed so much in that movie. There were so many things they left out, so many things that could have made that movie so much better. Yeah, and I did not like the direction that they took and stuff in that movie or the way they ended it either. It was pretty terrible. The next question comes from Michael Dooch, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. But he says, what is a fun fact about you or a hobby besides reading and writing that people on Booktube might not know you have? I love to cook, and I'm actually a pretty good cook. I learned to cook before I got married. When I started living on my own, I was kind of forced to learn to cook. Yeah, and I've been kind of like naturally passed down these talents from my mom because my mom's an amazing cook, my sister's an amazing cook, so it kind of like runs in the genes, I guess. Like, it's just, cooking for me comes very easily and very naturally. So recipes that I try once or twice, and then after that I kind of don't need a recipe anymore, and then start adding my own twists to things. So that's probably it, cooking. And then I really like yard work for some reason. Like, I love mowing my lawn. I feel it's very therapeutic. I like cutting my grass and stuff, which is oddly like strange. But yes, that's a hobby, I guess. The next question comes from Heather, and she asked, do you and your wife like the same types of books? And if not, what are some of her favorites? And then she'd love to see us do a video together. I've told her about doing a video together, and she's a little camera shy, but I'm kind of easing her into the idea, so you guys might see a video with me and her at some point in the future. But we do kind of like the same types of books. I mean, we do, like, she likes a lot of YA contemporaries, and she's read a lot of that. She's slowly easing into, like, some fantasy. Like, she's read the entire Lunar Chronicles series, and I haven't read the entire Lunar Chronicles series. But she's read, like, Daughter of Smoke and Bone series, and she's read a lot of, like, Sarah Dessen and stuff. So there's a lot of things she likes, like, a lot of books that we've read together. I think we've only really done one buddy read, and that was The School of Good and Evil by Saman Chinani, and we read the first book together and really enjoyed that, but haven't continued on with the series yet. But yeah, like, we kind of like similar things. She doesn't like any like horror or mystery or like really like high fantasy stuff. She doesn't really enjoy that stuff. She likes a lot of like the romancy, bubbly kind of things, which I don't like a lot of, but there are some similarities in our reading. Like, we both really loved Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. So yeah, like, some similarities that we have there with our reading. The next question comes from Sydney West, and she asks, what TV shows do you watch, and what are you recently obsessed with? So TV shows, I feel like I used to watch a lot of TV shows, and now recently I just don't have the time to watch a lot of them, but I'm still like really obsessed with The 100. I absolutely love The 100. That's like one of my favorite TV shows currently out there right now. And me and my wife really enjoy Jane the Virgin. We've been trying to catch up on both The 100 and Jane the Virgin. So we're not up to date, so please no spoilers. But yeah, Jane the Virgin is like one of those shows that we watch together, and neither of us lets the other person kind of watch ahead. Like, we have to watch the episode together and kind of be surprised together and get all of the information at the same time. So that's currently what we're both watching. And yeah, The 100 I'm kind of watching on my own. There's a lot of other TV shows that I have watched or want to watch and stuff. A lot of things on my Netflix queue that I just haven't gotten to, but currently The 100, yeah, so that's like my current favorite like running TV show right now. The next question comes from Queen Novella, and she asks, what's been your favorite Booktube related experience? And that's definitely been meeting a lot of my Booktube friends back in Chicago last year for BookCon. I was able to go last year to Chicago, and a lot of my Booktube friends were there, and it was just a great experience to meet them and hang out with them and go get pizza and stuff and just like talk about other things that weren't book related. So that's definitely one of like the highlights of BookTube, was that, which is meeting people in person. That's not like you know, there have been recent discussions about like meeting people in person, if it's really important, if it really kind of cements people's relationships, and it doesn't. But it is definitely always a great experience to meet someone that you've been connecting with online in person and actually kind of like see them and talk to them and sit at the same table and eat together. And it's just, I think that was just a great experience to do it. If you're able to, then great. If you're not, then, you know, it doesn't mean that you have less friendships than other people. But either way, it was still a wonderful experience to meet everyone last year. Now the next question comes from Beck and Mike from Books and Looks, and they asked me who would play you if you were casted in a movie. Like, I honestly have not thought about this. I mean, I don't know. Everyone, when I had hair, it was like really curly and stuff, and people thought that I looked like Ben Savage, you know, the guy that plays Corey on Boy Meets World. So, I mean, if you go by looks, when I was younger, I guess, like him, maybe, because we look alike, but even though he's like a lot older than I am, so I don't know, maybe that, because, yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about this question. I don't think anybody would want to play me in the movie. I don't think anybody would ever make a movie about me, but either way, yeah, I guess Ben Savage, which is weird. The next question comes from Lourdes from Chapters We Love, and she wants advice for going back to school. So she asked me, I'm going back to school soon. What's your advice for someone to get back into the rhythm of school and work with Booktube? So it was weird for me. Like, it definitely took some time because I was trying to do Booktube on the side, and then I went to school full-time last semester, and I've been working full-time 40 hours also, so it was definitely a hard thing to try and balance. If you can, like, pre-film a lot of stuff, like anytime you have, like, some free time at home where you're not working on school stuff, pre-film kind of, like, a bulk amount, and it's just, it's weird advice to give because I didn't follow this advice because it was just so hard for me because of my work schedule and everything. But if you're able to bulk film, definitely bulk film and kind of like, you know, put out at least one video a week with kind of that bulk filming, I guess. But definitely give yourself some time. Definitely take advantage of like your free moments. So if you have schoolwork to do and it's not due in a while, like definitely start schoolwork early. Like that's what I would do, is I would start a lot of assignments the day they were given to me, so that way I wasn't as overwhelmed when I had 3 or 4 assignments that needed to get completed within a week. I always had things started ahead of time, and definitely plan and give yourself kind of breaks between classes that are definitely helpful. Like that is probably my main one, is give yourself breaks in between classes. Like if you can get an hour and a half, 2-hour break in between some of your classes, that will help you greatly to catch up with schoolwork and to do school readings and everything. That way when you actually get home, you don't have as much stuff to do because you've done things at school during those breaks in between classes. So that was extremely helpful to me, was that those breaks in between, like in the middle of the day, were definitely helpful. Now the next question comes from Trina from Between Chapters, and she asked me if you could switch 2 book characters from different books, who would you switch, and tell us how you imagine them doing in their new stories. Now, yes, I thought about this one, and in the end, I ended up going with Joffrey Baratheon and the kids from The Call by Peter O'Gillion. If you guys have read or heard of The Call by Peter O'Gillion, yes, I would switch them to these like characters in these worlds, because I would love to see Joffrey Baratheon suffer in the world of The Call, because there's these weird creatures that just like torture and kill these kids like out of nowhere, and Joffrey Baratheon is probably one of the most unlikable characters in the world, and I would just like to see him have to go through The Call, because I think he would do terrible, and I think the creatures in that world would just completely destroy him, and it would be awesome to kind of just like see that. I know it's kind of like twisted and weird, but if you guys have seen Game of Thrones, which you probably have, or read Game of Thrones, you probably agree with me that you would like to see worse things happen to Joffrey Baratheon. And then the kids in The Call would probably do a really good job in the world of Game of Thrones, because they're trained from like young ages and stuff, and a lot of different kind of things. So I think that would actually do pretty well in Game of Thrones. They would probably still end up dying, maybe, but not early on. I think they would survive for a really long time because they're well trained, and I feel like better equipped than some of the people in the Song of Ice and Fire world series. So yeah, I would switch these people, but mostly because I would like to see Joffrey Baratheon suffer more. And the last question comes from Rihanna Reeds, and she asked, what is the worst book you have ever read? And I don't have a lot of terrible reads, but the one that's coming to mind right now is probably We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I hated that book so much. The world, the story, the writing, everything was just so muddled, and I hated that book. I think I sat down with that book, and within the first maybe 10 minutes of me sitting down with that book, I knew how it was going to end, and it was just like the worst. Like, it just wasn't even executed properly, and I did not enjoy it at all. Now I'll be moving on to the giveaway, and like I said, my previous video, you're able to win $15 worth of book depository credit. So yeah, up to $15, any amount of books that you want, up to $15 from Book Depository. And because I don't have a lot of like entries and stuff, and I don't even know how to use Ravelcopter or any of that kind of like random comment generator stuff, I just put names in my trusty little Mike Wazowski cup mug. So yeah, I'm just gonna pull out a name from in here. I wrote down everyone's name that left a question. You guys are entered down, in here in the cup. So yeah, let's see who wins a $15 book depository credit. And yes, that is going to Sydney West. So yeah, Sydney, contact me either through Twitter or here on YouTube, or even Goodreads. You can message me also and just send me your address and the books or book that you would like from Book Depository, up to $15. And yeah, I will send that your way. So yeah, guys, that is it for this 2-year Booktube Q&A. Thank you guys all again for watching. Thank you guys for your comments. Thank you guys for subscribing and for just everything, for all of these great friendships that I've been able to establish through this channel and everything, for wanting to watch me. That's also awesome. So thank you guys again. Thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you for the people that have been with me since the very beginning. I greatly, greatly appreciate this community. It's been a wonderful community to be a part of, and I've really enjoyed the last 2 years. So yeah, that is it. Thank you guys again for watching, and yeah, I will see you guys next time.